Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hey everybody, how are you all doing today? Today is Friday, July 18th, 2025, and my name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've been rocking with your girl for a minute, thank you so much for all of the support as always. As you come in, you know the proper YouTube etiquette is to hit the like button so that we can get in the algorithm and other people know that we're on as well. If you did not get a notification, it's not my fault. Okay. I don't run YouTube or any of that. But what I can say is perhaps you may unsubscribe, subscribe again, and hit the bell again. Or make sure that you subscribe to all or whatever that portion of it tells you to do. But I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope many of you got the notification. If not, welcome to all the people that are going to be on the replay. We are here to talk about Shannon Sharpe. Now, I knew something was kind of brewing when the whole court date came and they said that she being Jane Doe did not show up for the court date. Now, to be fair, it appears that the court date may have been about motions to admit the attorneys for Shannon Sharpe pro hoc. But nonetheless, it was notated that she did not show up for that hearing. Let me see something real quick. Y'all come in, hit the like button on your way in. I feel like I had that document from the court hearing. Because y'all know I'm nosy. I'll just be looking up stuff for no reason. But it was being reported that the attorneys did not show up for the actual plaintiff, which I thought was interesting. But hold on one second. Let me see if I got that document. Keep coming in, keep hitting that like button. I see you all. Thank you guys so much for joining us. But yeah, looks like the Shannon Sharpe case is over. All right. It's over. When was it filed? In April? 90 days. He didn't even respond to the complaint. What? Oh yeah, I do have it because I'm just that nosy. Let me pull up the minute notice from last week on Shannon Sharpe. Let's pull that up right quick. What is the name of it? All right. So what actually happened on July 9th, 2025, according to the notes, the minutes from the judge, it said court notes that no parties have appeared on behalf of plaintiff for today's hearing. Mr. DeMarco requested this matter be continued for 45 days for a status check. So that kind of lets you know when you're trying to continue it, they probably were talking. So there was an exchange regarding news media being present in the courtroom. So apparently there was some new media that was there. The matter was recalled. Court read and reviewed minutes orders from June 30th, 2025, and order motion to Associate Counsel Mitchell Schuster under Nevada SCR 42 was granted. So there were attorneys that were trying to file motions in order to pro hoc in. If you guys follow my channel, you know Pro Hoc Vice, you can practice in New York and then you ask permission to practice in Nevada because you may have a celebrity client or whatever your rationale is, but that is your client, and you want to be able to represent your client in various states. And so you get someone that basically sponsors you as long as you satisfy the criteria for those court rules. You're in good standing of your own state bar. You haven't been disciplined. There are certain boxes you have to check and come correct. And if you are, they will typically allow you to come in. And Pro Hoc Vice, you come in for this one time only. So it does not allow you to just now you get to practice in the next state. You are literally being allowed to practice for this one case if you just Pro Hoc in. Court further ordered motion for another associate was also granted. Then there was another associate, Mr. Richard, under the Nevada rule was granted. And they were going to have a mandatory Rule 16 conference that was going to be September 3rd of 2025. That's all that happened on that date. But yes, the court did note that no parties appeared on behalf of the plaintiff. And honestly, like I said, it was a motion to allow these people to come in pro hoc. So I don't think it was a real important type, situation going on, but you still usually come. So the fact that there was a request for it to be continued out 45 days to have a status on what's going on, I kind of came to that conclusion. They must be in some talks or whatnot on perhaps resolving this case. And according to Tony Busby, who is representing Jane Doe, that is exactly what has occurred. All right. According to attorney Busby, he has filed about 15 minutes ago over here on his Instagram, Jane Doe versus Shannon Sharpe, he says, and this is probably language of which they agreed on, that he can go on his social media just as fast as you posted about her suing. We need specific language on when it is resolved. What is interesting, it doesn't seem like they called it a resolution. All right. They didn't use the word settlement. I believe it was probably purposeful. So I don't know if there was money. We don't know nothing. And they probably won't even tell us either way. But it does say on April 20th, 2025, the Busby law firm filed a complaint in Nevada making several allegations against Shannon Sharpe on behalf of our client. Both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. So I feel like, and this is just my opinion, Mr. Busby and Mr. Sharpe, I feel like this was kind of language that both sides talked about. Like to let Shannon got to move on with his career. And if he decides to resolve this in any manner, some people may try to still look at him side eyes. I've seen a lot of people in the chat. Some people do believe once you settle, then why'd you settle if you ain't do nothing? Why you settle if you ain't do nothing? And it doesn't matter how many times I tell you all, sometimes the cost benefit analysis is greater to go ahead and settle. And then in that settlement, usually say you're denying liability. But again, the public perception of settlements, it tends to lean towards they're saying you're almost acknowledging that you did it, which is not the truth. Sometimes it's cheaper. You see, he had about 3 attorneys that have admitted pro hoc into this case. It's cheaper to pay you a couple $100,000 than to pay them a couple million. Sometimes they do a cost benefit analysis and that's what they come up with. Again, I don't know what any of the intricacies or any of the talks or negotiations behind this. All I can go by is what Mr. Busby just posted on his Instagram 13 minutes ago. Okay. He said both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship after protracted and respectful negotiations. Because you remember, Shannon was like, hey, Mr. Busby, why don't you put out the whole video, Mr. Busby? You know who Mr. Busby is? He's the person that went after Jay-Z. He goes after people with money. You guys heard Shannon Sharpe get out here and go blast Busby, and he alleged, I guess, he was gonna file lawsuits and all of that good stuff. And he says, I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. All matters have now been addressed satisfactorily, and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. Joy said long term is crazy when she's barely an adult. Listen, I'm just telling y'all what they said. Okay, let me see if something came on this docket while you guys take all of this in. Okay, while you are, I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot for a Friday. We weren't expecting it. You know, listen, let me go find his case over here. Because wasn't nothing popping on this case. And I said it. I was like, I think Tracy was asking me. I was like, ain't nothing even happening on this case. They ain't did nothing on this case. But yeah, they were moving behind the scenes. Okay, are you going to click on? Okay. Nope, they haven't filed anything yet. So what was going to happen, let me pull up this docket for you all so you all can see what I'm looking at. You said SS needs to be ashamed of himself. That's from Authentically Lola. I'm sure he's saying he ain't do nothing. What are you talking about? But listen, I want to know, Shannon Sharpe, what did we learn from this? We want to know, what did you learn from this? We have got to have some form of discipline in these spaces because this was so easily just avoided. But anywho's, so as you all see, if you look to the far left, this is the actual docket. So it has the July 10th, which was I guess there was a media request order. July 14th was some order about communication with court staff. So maybe that was when, what's today? The 18th. Maybe that's kind of when they let them know, hey, I think we reached a resolution. And then they weren't supposed to come back until August 22nd, 2025 for a status check. And then September 3rd was going to be the mandatory Rule 16 conference. Well, apparently they've already have resolved this matter. So they probably just contact the court like, yeah, we settled. And the judge might give them a certain amount of time in order to submit their closing documents. And it's over. Case is done. Y'all got any other questions? If you guys see too, he never answered this. Let me pull that up again. Should have showed you. He never actually answered this complaint. So we got the complaint was filed on April 20th. There was a notice of appearance on May 29th on behalf of Shannon Sharpe. On May 30th, there was some certificate of service filed. June 16th, there was a minute order. June 17th, see all the way this June 17th, there were 3 motions for the associates to come in under the Nevada rule. So they were trying to pro hoc in. All right. Then they changed the hearing on June 30th, and then the motions were heard on July 9th. Those were the motion hearings that was all granted to allow these attorneys to come in. And then you guys see the media request was over here. They wanted to get in where they fit in and make sure they can come record if they need to. But sorry to tell y'all, won't be no live streaming about this because this is over. And then we already went over the future hearings before a status check and a mandatory Rule 16. So the man never answered the complaint. That's what I'm telling y'all. There was never an answer. Thank y'all. Yes, Miss Buckeye, thank you for the super chat. She said, thank you to Intellects for helping Pam's dad to reach 1K. Hey, Pam, got to get some Z's working tonight. I'll catch the replay. Thank you, Miss Buckeye. We won't be on her long because I'm still doing work. As you see in my eyes, I'm very, very tired. I'm still working, but I wanted to come on with the breaking news, okay? You heard it first over here. And Max said, Unc learned to make a woman sign a love contract and no more leashes allowed. Listen, if you guys can give Shannon Sharpe some advice, what would you give him? Shannon Sharpe needs some advice. Like, I need to know, Unc, what did we learn while you on there? Hey, Ocho Cinco. Well, Ocho, yeah, you know I like the women's Ocho Cinco. What you talking about? Nah, Ocho. While you on there with Ocho Cinco, you need some. He need to be giving you some advice on how to navigate in these waters, because this was it was so, looking at the little bit of evidence or information we had out, and of course we all speculating, it seemed like it was the overlay for the underplay, and he could have prevented some of this from occurring. You know what I'm saying? So what did you learn from this? We just want to know what you learned from this. That's all. Call me darling, said leave the young gals alone. Ain't that what Auntie Monique said? Auntie Monique said you need somebody that can cook you some greens and some ham hocks with a little meat hanging down here. That's what Auntie Monique said. My sister said date your age bracket. Okay. Everybody is kind of coming to the same consensus. So we need you to make sure that you take note. We are here to help you. We are not here to harm you. We like you, Shannon. We like Club Shay Shay. We like those interviews, and we want you to be around here for a long time. But we need you to have some discipline and to move better. No more picking up girls over there at the gym. Okay? That's old enough to be your daughter. All right, we just need you to relax. We get it. You got money. You got a whole smorgasbord of women from 8 to 80, but we just need you to stay in the middle of that 8 to 80, okay? Just need to stay right in the middle, okay? Link said, we learned Unc need to cut down to 1 pill a day. I know y'all couldn't be serious that long. We've been here too long. Toya said he needs a home gym after all of this. Don't even go back there. So Toya said, you got money, go get you a home gym. Don't even go back there. Don't even put yourself in this situation. Nikki Cali girl said, sorry, I came in late. Case over. What does that mean? Nikki, it's over. It's over. We will not be covering Shannon Sharpe according to Busby. Nah, if something happens and somehow something falls through, then maybe we'll be here. But according to Busby, gonna pull it up again. My girl said get an NDA. My girl really B said you need an NDA. She did. He did have love contracts. She just said she ain't signing it. So that didn't work. So let's pull it up. Tony Busby said, on April 20th, 2025, the Busby Law Firm filed a complaint in Nevada, making several allegations against Shannon Sharpe on behalf of our clients. Both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship after protracted and respectful negotiations. I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. All matters now have been addressed satisfactorily, and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. Okay? Let's see. Did Shannon Sharpe say anything? Let's see if Shannon Sharpe got anything to say. Shannon, if you're not busy right now. No, he don't have anything on his page yet. If you're not busy, we're trying to give you some advice over here so you don't get caught up in the game again. All right? So let me see what else you guys have to say. Thank you, A Soft Place, for being a member for 10 months. Said, hey, Pam and the Intellects, red ball and back. Okay. For girl said, Pam, we learned SS is not like Jay-Z. Well, also with Busby, that Jay-Z situation got dismissed as well, but it wasn't this nice. Apparently, maybe Shannon's attorneys was a bit nicer or something, because they didn't get a nice farewell letter on their they basically said our client's scared of y'all, so she gonna dismiss it because she's scared of you. They basically said, we had a kumbaya, and we had a couple of drinks and, and talked about our professions, and we kicked back, and we just came up with a resolution like, yeah, they had a consensual relationship. It was tumultuous. Well, that's what I'm saying in my head. That's not really what happened. You guys know I'm just, making that part up. But yeah, seems like a very different agreement to dismiss than what it was for Jay-Z. I don't know. Been there. Did the girl get paid? I don't know. Allegedly, they used resolution. They didn't say settlement, but allegedly, she was offered some money that was in the millions, allegedly, before she filed this lawsuit. So you can take with that what you want. And she wanted to go through with all of this. But it could be they submitted some information about her that maybe Busby didn't know. We don't know. We weren't there. That's the beauty of a settlement. It's none of our business. As legally nosy as we try to be, it's none of our business, and they don't have to disclose it. He just gave the general template, of which the other side probably agreed and said, that's cool, you can say that. And so this is what they came up with. And this is, because he had to say something, because, and it's best, I guess, to do it before you file it with the court, because when you file your dismissal with prejudice with the court and we get the documents, we're going to be looking like, okay, why was it? What happened? But like I said, Shannon Sharpe didn't even respond to this complaint. So apparently there were back and forth discussions, and this is what we came up with, or what they came up with, and that's that. For Always Forever said, make better choices. She never liked him, in my opinion. Xavier said, I hope she got paid because she can't work after this. M. Max said, Jane Doe is at the Maybach dealership right now. You know what? Latoya says she got paid. Joy, I need you to get past it. How old is this lady? Is she like in her early 20s or something now? Joy says she can't get past a long-term relationship. She said can't be long-term because the lady ain't long-term. That's kind of what she getting at here. Voice of Reason said, what about the Jay-Z situation regarding Ramir and the DNA? I don't know nothing about that. Never really covered that case. All I know is apparently there's been back and forth with Ramir for years, of which some courts have already dismissed these claims. I don't know the reasoning why they dismissed them. Ramir is alleging some type of collusion or some type of malfeasance that has occurred, is what he's alleging. So I guess he's filed another lawsuit someplace else. And I don't know nothing about that. I've never heard, what I will tell you, I've never heard of anyone being forced to take a DNA test when they're an adult. I've never seen it. So if Ramir knows of one of his other kids, if he has other kids, or is he just saying he only has the kids with Beyonce? I don't know this man's life. But assuming for the sake of conversation that he's other kids, you may want to get a relative that may do it. But as far as forcing someone to do that, I actually had a similar situation of someone who passed away here who was a politician who had kids that came later, and they were like old, like 40s, 50s, and they came and said that this man was their father, and they tried to force a DNA test on his kids, and the court was like, yeah, no. because once he died, of course, there's reasoning why they want to get in where they fit in. They said they felt like he was creeping with their mama too, so they want their money too. Why they waited till he was dead, I don't know, and he lived a full life, but nonetheless, I don't know if you're able to do that. Maybe they got different laws. I don't understand. Ramirez alleging, I think, other allegations which don't necessarily even have anything to do with DNA. So if he's alleging some, filing against judges or police or whatever he's saying, if there's a cover up, if he's alleging that, then that would be a whole different lawsuit. So I don't listen to the clickbait out here. People are like, he has to file because the court says that Jay-Z has to respond to the complaint, does not mean he has to take a DNA test. So I'm not sure if it's clickbait, if it's headlines, but until I actually get my hands on some documents, I'm not really covering it like that. Voice for a Reason said Jay-Z has a daughter. They were talking and going to go that route till Jay-Z got her a house and a car away from him, so they can't talk any longer since then. And again, I'm assuming this information may have come from blogs or from Raymir. We don't really know. I did hear something about a daughter, but we don't really know. Like, all of this stuff is good information for the media, and that's why, as you guys heard me always say, I think a lot of times media is organized ignorance, and this was the issue. And like, just imagine if YouTubers didn't cover the Diddy trial. How do you think the media would have been if it would have been how it was back in the day, where you only had your major news outlets coming in, MSNBC, CNN, whoever, that were covering it and not us? Because we're getting into the media spaces, I think that people are getting more, I don't want to say credible, but I'm going to say more unbiased information. So with this Jay-Z thing, I understand people don't like Rock Nation. When you don't like people, you want to believe everything that's out there. I think it's a poor way to conduct yourself, to say, well, I don't like them, so I believe everything someone said. I'm not like that. And this is why with the Demore situation, why I didn't really, I might cover some stuff with her, because she's still out here allegedly saying, talking, and then there's supposed to be a gag order and they're trying to see if she's held in contempt. So that's kind of heating up a little bit. I wasn't really going to talk about it because people didn't really like my commentary, because I was saying what Desiree said. So then it was, oh, you paid by Rock Nation. No, I'm actually not paid by anybody. I just pull up the documents, and if I'm going to say what your side of the story is, I'm going to say what their side of the story is. And people don't like that. They want you to pick a side. That's how our news media has been. Fox had always been Republican based. Like, that's what we're used to with media. You have certain channels that are more geared towards maybe your principles or your ideologies. And I think that it's made the public in general at large ignorant in a lot of situations, because we only hear one side. This is why I'm adamant on doing what I did when I pulled up the docket, or doing what I did when I pulled up his actual Instagram post, because I want you all to see for yourself. I want you to see what's written in the document. Now, if you interpret it different than what I interpreted, that's cool too. But as long as you have sufficient information to make an intelligent decision or an intelligent opinion about a situation, and oftentimes the media doesn't do that. So I have not been following Raymir like that. If I get more documents or information, then perhaps I will. That's what I have to say for that. Willie J said, if we only had TMZ, they were clearly Team Diddy and were biased a big time. Trey said, I'm out here working hard every day when I could just find a dumb celebrity and retire. Well, dang, Trey. You might need some couch time, Trey. Call me darling said, my whole way of thinking has changed in the past few months. The social media isn't a place to get credible news. You know, this is why, like I said, I try to get what's your authority. I have drilled that into everyone's head over here. Like, what's your authority? That's cool what you're saying, but what do you have in order to support what you're saying? Or if it's just your opinion, be very, very honest and transparent. That's just my opinion. I ain't got nothing to back it up. I just saw that Negro. I looked at him in his face and I was like, he looked shady as hell. He did everything they said he did. That's cool. At least you're being honest. It's when people say it with their chest that they got all this information and evidence, and you don't have anything. You just have your opinion. And our opinions are oftentimes based on our lens, on how we were raised, or our environment, or our community. And it's not always correct. That's all. Tony said, I don't like Jay. I ain't gonna lie. At least you honest, Tony be here. Shoot. Shonda Shante said people just saying and believing anything without facts. Yeah, I don't know. So Amani said right is hearsay. You know what, Melanie? Y'all talking about stealing kids. Like, what are we talking about? This is him, Jay-Z, and Rock Nation. This ain't Pam. Elite Leo say, lawyered up on Twitter, said court filings show the godmother claims to hold a PhD. If true, she probably fooled herself into thinking she can represent herself and Ramir competently as a lawyer would. So the godmother filed this lawsuit. Y'all send me the name. I'll look it up if it's filed. If you guys are interested and you're gonna come support, then I'll go ahead and I'll talk about it. But I can't do articles. I can't do blogs. I can't do any of that because to me, everything's about clickbait. They all about trying to get people to follow them or to get their numbers up. And I'm just a person. You see in my title, you know exactly what it was. What did my thumbnail say? Resolved. I'm not gonna make you wait an hour of me talking about myself or whatever to hype it up and do the whole bringing it up like we on a roller coaster, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm not doing that. You know what you want to hear about the resolution or not? You get that opportunity with my, with my titles to choose that. It's not always the most monetarily efficient, I guess, way to do it. Because people are gonna have different when it comes to this. Now, once they see that I talked about it, it's gonna be a whole lot more people talking about it. And you're going to see different titles and they're going to say something different to make it like, ooh, let me hurry up and click on and see what they're talking about. Purple Yellow says Shannon should have gone to trial. Was obvious BDSM and the girl manipulated auto recording. Well, perhaps maybe he didn't give no money. We don't know. We really don't know. Ling said this may sound cross, but a lot of them don't know how to transition a corporate discussion. I have to read it first, child. When they long like that, no disrespect, Links, but sometimes I done read things like, whoop. Oh, okay, Links. Y'all see what Link said? Link said some of these execs, they got escorts and stuff. That's alleged. Thank you, Darlene, for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate the support. Y'all make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. My plan was not going to be on here long, and I am out. Unless you guys have any more questions about this whole Shannon Sharpe. If you just came in, I'm going to read it one last time since it's on there. On April 20th, 2025, the Busby Law Firm filed a complaint in Nevada making several allegations against Shannon Sharpe on behalf of our client. Both sides acknowledge a long-term, consensual, and tumultuous relationship. After protracted and respectful negotiations, I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. All matters have now been addressed satisfactorily, and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. So basically, when y'all see on the docket that this case was dismissed with prejudice, I told y'all already that it was about to happen. No need to speculate. I already told y'all it was resolved amicably. We both acknowledged that we was in a long-term, jacked up relationship. And so they hope the public takes that and just, I guess assume Shannon didn't do anything wrong. I don't know. Do you think ESPN will let Shannon come back now? Interesting question, because I think he relieved himself, right? I think that he resigned or stepped away, and so I mean he left the door open to come back, but we all know, ultimately it's up to them. If they feel like they were making good money off of him, they probably will find a way to transition him back in that spot. Now, if it wasn't affecting the ratings that differently, I don't see why they would even take that chance, but who knows? Melanie, I don't even know what you're talking about, hon. What we talking about? Coercion and polygraph tests? I don't even know what you're talking about. My sister said ESPN is a Disney company, and so he's done. She said, put a fork in him, he's done. Okay? That's what she said. This is the one with, she was Jane Doe. So she never said her name. Of course, Shannon put her name out there because he talked about, I think this is the one that had the OnlyFans and all of that. So I think Shannon did take, and her name may have been Michelle, if I recall. I can't remember. But she went under as Jane Doe. So we're going to call her Jane Doe. You're a victim of what, Melanie? Of who, allegedly? I'm so confused. Maybe you were just talking in the chat and I missed it. If I did, I'm sorry, Melanie. Of course. You said Gabriella. That's who it was. I don't know. Oh, that's right. Michelle was, I think she did a pro se lawsuit and there was restraining orders and it was a lot with that one too. She had a lot of links that she attached with Shannon Sharpe, but Shannon had tried to get a restraining order on her before. So it was a lot of messy stuff. Sounds like he got some messy relationships in his past. Okay. Let me see. All right, y'all. I'm about to go. My sister is crazy. I'm about to go to work, back to work. Okay. I just had to stop for this breaking news. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And if something else happens, we'll be back to talk about it. You guys have a great rest of your Friday if I don't talk to you anymore today. Talk soon.